Hello there. I had some people ask me about how you start with polymer clay. So polymer clay comes in these little blocks. They come in, this is a Sculpey 3. They come in Fimo and all sorts of different ones, but all you have to look at as a modeling compound. That means that usually you have to bake it in your oven. So this is what it looks like. And all clay has to be conditioned. So I just take it, this is right here is called a tissue blade because it's so thin that you can really cut things just almost as thin as a tissue. I think that's why it's called that. I don't know. I might have just made that up, but I'm not sure. All right, so I'm just gonna start out by cutting one of the blocks. I mean, you can do the whole thing, but my hands, I have arthritis, so it starts hurting. So you're kind of just gonna hold it in your hand. The goal is to warm it up. If you have a pasta machine, you can just keep running it through the pasta machine. And I did one video on that showing how I conditioned a really bad block of clay. So you're just gonna warm it up as quickly as you can, and the idea is you have to be able to squish it down because it's pretty hard. You can kind of see how hard I'm pushing. Well, I don't know if you can see how hard it is, but I'm really pushing hard. So you want to get that going, and once you get that little piece going, you can, if you want to do the whole block, you can just keep adding pieces to your already warmed up clay. There, this is softening up pretty quickly. See, when you can start moving it, you can see it with your fingers, you know it's getting conditioned, it's getting workable. And the warmer it gets, the softer it gets. And different clays will stay firmer, or some will get really soft. And the really soft ones are great, except if you want to do more intricate work, it's very difficult to get it to work. And it also, you leave a lot of fingerprints in it. So, all right, so we're not going to do the whole block because I have wimpy hands. And simply, so you don't necessarily need a tissue blade. You could use a craft knife or just a kitchen knife because you don't want to put a lot of money into it unless it's something that you know you want to do. So this block costs anywhere between $1.99 to $3 probably at the most. I think I usually buy them around $2.50, but I haven't bought it for a while because I went and bought too much, so it might have gone up since I bought these. So alright, so we got it squishy, and since I don't have this is about not having a pasta machine, you want to get something that you can roll it with. I have an acrylic roller, but you can use anything round. You could use a paintbrush, you know, anything. Now, I wouldn't recommend a paintbrush if you're trying to get a straight roll there. You need something, I shouldn't say anything, you should have something that is the same diameter in all areas. So you're just going to roll it out like that, and just like pie dough. Now, if you're doing something, let's say you're doing jewelry, and you want to make sure that you have the same, you want it to be level all the way across. So what you could do is, I'm sorry, alright, you want to be able to have it level on both sides. So when you're rolling it out, if you could have two things, you could use cards, like 10 cards on each side, and you just, I'm bending this to make it fatter so I can show you. And so when I roll this, you know that it's going to be the same, because I made sure that these were the same height. It's going to be the same thickness all the way across. So you don't have to have a pasta machine. You can use an old rolling pin that you don't use for food anymore. Once you use it on your crafts, you really should not be using it to prepare food. So look at that. Well, okay, you see the bend, but you see that it's going to be the same thickness all the way. So that's one. I guess I'm going to have to actually get more clay, because if I want to show you how to do anything, I need enough to do something with, right? So fortunately this is warming up pretty quickly. Oops, I'm not even doing it under the camera, am I? All right, let's put these together. I'm gonna move these out of the way so I can just get this to stick together. Now, at this point, I don't care what thickness it is. So I'm just kind of doing, this is kind of what you do with a pasta machine. But you don't really want to put money into something that you're not positive that you really want to do. Or maybe you just want to do it once in a while, and there's just no reason to put a bunch of money in. You want to try and keep the air out though, so you're going to roll it away from the bend. So I bent it there, and I went away from the bend. Like that. So I'm pushing the air out the ends, because what happens if you're using the clay and you go and bake it and there's air bubbles in there, it could break your piece, or you'll have great big holes in it. All right, so now I'm going to try and get it about the same thickness, which these are really thick actually. Let's see, I think I have a ruler right here. So these are about a 1/2 inch. Oh, silly me. Okay, these are a little over 1/4 inch thick, and it's depending on what you're doing, you probably don't need it that thick. And that's where I would get, maybe put, I don't know, 6 to 10 cards down on each side and use cards. The only drawback is that it moves around and stuff, so you have to be careful. So I'm just gonna get it, I need more clay, so I'm going to go thinner because those are too fat. But if I was making a piece that I was going to bake, I would want to make sure that I have an even thickness all the way across. And when you don't have anything to hold your roller up on, you have a tendency to maybe get it thin on one side and not on the other. But so let's say we're going to make jewelry. And we want to make a heart, because right now it's January 2019, and Valentine's Day is coming up. I guess I should have picked red clay instead of green, but that's what I grabbed. Okay, so we're going to pretend this is all the same thickness. And basically you're just going to take a cookie cutter. You don't have to take a cookie cutter. You can draw something and cut it out with a craft knife or a kitchen knife or something. But the easiest way to get started is if you can use something that will cut out the shape that you need. So if you're going to do jewelry, you might want to make earrings. and so you would need two, and then if you had a bigger heart cookie cutter, you could cut it out, and I don't quite have enough clay there, so I'd have to squeeze that up and re-roll it, and you could do a third one for a necklace. Now you can see here, this is real thin and this is real thick, so that's what I'm talking about, and this one's really, really thick. So that's important that you have the same thickness all over.